You cannot escape the responsibility of tomorrow by evading it today. You can fool all the people some of the time, and some of the people all the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. How many legs does a dog have if you call his tail a leg? 4. Saying that a tail is a leg doesn't make it a leg. No man has a good enough memory to be a successful liar. Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be. The philosophy of the schoolroom in one generation will be the philosophy of government in the next. Sir, my concern is not whether God is on our side, my greatest concern is to be on God's side, for God is always right. I am a slow walker, but I never walk back. Give me 6 hours to chop down a tree and I will spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. The probability that we may fail in the struggle ought not to deter us from the support of a cause we believe to be just. Character is like a tree and reputation like a shadow. The shadow is what we think of it, the tree is the real thing. Government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from the earth. I am not bound to win, but I am bound to be true. I am not bound to succeed, but I am bound to live by the light that I have. I must stand with anybody that stands right, and stand with him while he is right, and part with him when he goes wrong. I will prepare and someday my chance will come. We the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. Don't worry when you are not recognized, but strive to be worthy of recognition. Be sure you put your feet in the right place, then stand firm. I do the very best I know how, the very best I can, and I mean to keep on doing so until the end. It has been my experience that folks who have no vices have very few virtues. I am a firm believer in the people. If given the truth, they can be depended upon to meet any national crisis. The great point is to bring them the real facts. This country, with its institutions, belongs to the people who inhabit it. Whenever they shall grow weary of the existing government, they can exercise their constitutional right of amending it, or exercise their revolutionary right to overthrow it. Always bear in mind that your own resolution to succeed is more important than any other. My great concern is not whether you have failed, but whether you are content with your failure. Those who deny freedom to others deserve it not for themselves, and under the rule of a just God, cannot long retain it. As I would not be a slave, so I would not be a master. This expresses my idea of democracy. I like to see a man proud of the place in which he lives. I like to see a man live so that his place will be proud of him. I remember my mother's prayers and they have always followed me. They have clung to me all my life. If we could first know where we are, and whither we are tending, we could then better judge what to do, and how to do it. The shepherd drives the wolf from the sheep's throat, for which the sheep thanks the shepherd as his liberator, while the wolf denounces him for the same act as the destroyer of liberty. Plainly, the sheep and the wolf are not agreed upon the definition of liberty. At what point then is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if it ever reach us, it must spring up amongst us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and finisher. As a nation of freemen, we must live through all time, or die by suicide. With malice toward none, with charity for all, with firmness in the right, as God gives us to see the right, let us strive on to finish the work we are in, to bind up the nation's wounds. Discourage litigation. Persuade your neighbors to compromise whenever you can. As a peacemaker, the lawyer has superior opportunity of being a good man. There will still be business enough. Labor is prior to, and independent of, capital. Capital is only the fruit of labor, and could never have existed if labor had not first existed. Labor is the superior of capital, and deserves much the higher consideration. All the armies of Europe, Asia and Africa combined, with all the treasure of the earth, our own excepted, in their military chest, with a Bonaparte for a commander, could not by force take a drink from the Ohio, or make a track on the Blue Ridge, in a trial of 1,000 years. When I am getting ready to reason with a man, I spend 1/3 of my time thinking about myself and what I am going to say, and 2/3 about him and what he is going to say. Every man is said to have his peculiar ambition. Whether it be true or not, I can say, for one, that I have no other so great as that of being truly esteemed of my fellow men, by rendering myself worthy of their esteem. How far I shall succeed in gratifying this ambition is yet to be developed. Fellow citizens, we cannot escape history. We, of this Congress and this administration, will be remembered in spite of ourselves. No personal significance, or insignificance, can spare one or another of us. The fiery trial through which we pass will light us down in honor or dishonor, to the latest generation. The dogmas of the quiet past are inadequate to the stormy present. The occasion is piled high with difficulty, and we must rise with the occasion. As our case is new, so we must think anew and act anew. Any people anywhere, being inclined and having the power, have the right to rise up, and shake off the existing government, and form a new one that suits them better. This is a most valuable, a most sacred right, a right, which we hope and believe, is to liberate the world. Let not him who is houseless pull down the house of another, but let him work diligently and build one for himself, thus by example assuring that his own shall be safe from violence when built. A man watches his pear tree day after day, impatient for the ripening of the fruit. Let him attempt to force the process, and he may spoil both fruit and tree. But let him patiently wait, and the ripe pear at length falls into his lap. Slavery is founded in the selfishness of man's nature, opposition to it is his love of justice. These principles are an eternal antagonism, and when brought into collision so fiercely, as slavery extension brings them, shocks and throes and convulsions must ceaselessly follow. My paramount object in this struggle is to save the Union, and is not either to save or to destroy slavery. If I could save the Union without freeing any slave, I would do it, and if I could save it by freeing some and leaving others alone, I would also do that. The assertion that all men are created equal was of no practical use in effecting our separation from Great Britain, and it was placed in the Declaration not for that, but for future use. These capitalists generally act harmoniously and in concert to fleece the people, and now that they have got into a quarrel with themselves, We are called upon to appropriate the people's money to settle the quarrel.